Chapter 4 Martial Arts Pioneer. When Bruce played Kato on the Green Hornet, he introduced millions of television viewers to the martial arts. Because of him, the popularity of Kung Fu soared in the United States. Bruce went back to teaching Kung Fu when the show was canceled. He had a family to support, after all. He and Linda were busy raising Brandon, who liked to practice Kung Fu moves just like his dad. Then, in 1969, Bruce and Linda had their second child, a girl they named Shannon. When Bruce went back to teaching, stars lined up at his door. Actor James Coburn wanted to learn from Bruce. So did actor Steve McQueen. One famous director paid for Bruce to fly to Switzerland to teach him there. Even 7'2" basketball legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wanted Bruce to teach him. Bruce and Abdul-Jabbar became good friends, and Bruce eventually got to cast him as an opponent in a movie. Bruce choreographed the martial arts scenes in some movies. That means he helped set up the fights called for in the script and showed the actors what to do. One of those movies was called The Wrecking Crew. In it, actor Dean Martin plays a spy. Bruce taught Martin how to use Kung Fu. People in the movie business wanted to learn from the best, and Bruce was the best. Not everyone was happy about Bruce teaching martial arts. There were two reasons for that. The first reason was who Bruce Lee was teaching. Some people thought it was a bad idea for Bruce to teach the martial arts to Westerners. Westerners, or the Western world, is a term to describe cultures, not geography. For example, people from Europe and North America are considered Westerners. People from China, Japan, and the Middle East are considered Easterners, or from the Eastern world. For hundreds of years, martial arts such as Kung Fu had been taught only by Chinese masters to Chinese students. Many traditional Chinese people thought it was wrong for Bruce to share Kung Fu secrets with people who were not Chinese. In fact, when Bruce first started teaching Kung Fu in Oakland, California, a group of traditional Chinese teachers challenged him to a fight. If their representative beat Bruce, he would have to stop teaching non-Chinese people. Bruce took the challenge and easily won the fight. His studio stayed open, and he continued teaching whomever he wanted. The second problem some people had with Bruce was over what he was teaching. He wasn't sticking to the old ways of teaching martial arts. Bruce didn't believe that any particular martial art was best in all circumstances. After all, he had learned in street fights that opponents are not playing by any rules. You can't defend yourself if you're too worried about how to stand and what technique to use. As he once said, the proper method is the one that works. Bruce believed in taking the most useful aspects of the martial arts, simplifying them, and creating his own style. He developed a system called Jeet Kune Do. Translated, Jeet Kune Do means the way of the intercepting fist. But Bruce also liked to call his system the way of no way. Actually, Bruce never wanted it to be called a system at all. He considered Jeet Kune Do to be a specific form of training instead of a method of fighting. He didn't like giving it a name. Jeet Kune Do is merely a name used, a boat to get one across the river, he said, and once across, it is to be discarded. Bruce's original training was in Kung Fu, but he didn't want to be confined by Kung Fu. He wanted to use all of his talents. Fighting is not something dictated by your conditioning as a Chinese martial artist or a Japanese martial artist, he said. A boxer likes to have space between him and his opponent so he can extend his arms and deliver strong punches to the other fighter. A wrestler likes to get up close to his opponents so he can grapple with the other fighter. If a boxer and a wrestler fight each other, neither one of them can rely on his training to win. Indeed, they need to break free from the form they were taught. In a street fight, Bruce said, His opponent wouldn't be restricted to any specific method, so why should he? Bruce believed Jeet Kune Do freed him from any one method. He boiled down his approach to simple terms. If the enemy is cool, stay cooler than him. If the enemy moves, move faster than him. Interestingly, after his teenage years, Bruce hardly ever fought, even in competition. The ancient Chinese general and philosopher Sun Tzu once said, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." Bruce echoed those words in one movie when he described his style as the art of fighting without fighting. In other words, being an expert in martial arts helped him to avoid fights. Other guys knew Bruce was so good that fighting would just mean trouble for them. Of course, that was away from the television and movie screen. On screen, Bruce would eventually become one of the greatest martial arts fighters of all time. The most popular martial arts. There are hundreds of different martial arts systems or styles with origins all around the world. Bruce Lee developed Jeet Kune Do because he believed elements of various martial arts were practical some of the time, but that no martial art was practical all of the time. Here are a few of the most popular and well-known martial arts. Aikido, a Japanese method for self-defense. Aikido does not rely on physical strength. Instead, it uses an attacker's own momentum to defeat them. Hapkido, another martial art for self-defense. This one from Korea. It includes elements of Aikido, but also utilizes kicks and punches. Judo, an Olympic sport since 1964, Judo evolved from the Japanese martial art Jiu-Jitsu. In Judo, the object is to use speed and leverage to throw or take down an opponent. Jiu-Jitsu, a system that developed among the samurai warriors of Japan to defeat armed opponents by using holds, throws, or punches. Karate. Karate emphasizes strong, quick blows that concentrate power and energy. It utilizes striking techniques such as punching, kicking, and knife hands, a karate chop. Karate originated in what is now part of Japan. Kung Fu, a term used for various Chinese martial arts. Bruce Lee's earliest martial arts instruction was in a style of Kung Fu called Wing Chun, which uses striking and grappling in close fighting. Taekwondo, a Korean martial art for self-defense. It relies more heavily on kicking than many other martial arts. Taekwondo is also an Olympic sport. Tai Chi, an ancient Chinese martial art. It is used to improve physical and mental well-being through slow, controlled movement.